So here is Nodin, and this is my 5th session with him. So he's getting pretty good about me just walking up. He right now kind of wants me right in front of him. Sometimes he changes. Sometimes he wants me on the shoulder, and sometimes he wants me on the face. So I'm just gonna work a little bit today with just grooming up, touching his body, and building some of those blocks for him. Again, he has a pretty funny personality, so it's just a matter of kind of getting that trust so he can use his curiosity and become a little bit bolder. He has a curiosity, but he's not super bold about things, so that's been interesting to see. But he's kind of like his brother Denali, where he likes to have the scratchies by the ear. He hasn't completely let go yet, but kind of a work in progress. So you see he's still a little worried. He kind of starts off the first couple of minutes with the guard up, and I have to remind him that I'm not a mountain lion. I'm not going to go for the jugular. That we're friends. And we've been working on going down, touching our feet. And he's really good with that. And then picking up our front feet. And I like to kind of keep that consistency with them. So every day I'll do little teeny weeny sessions where I may come in and just give them a brush all over and pick up their feet, and keeping it very, very low energy. But my goal with this session is just to have it pretty boring. So I'm going to let him have some time here. Like I said, sometimes it's good to give yourself things to distract from the horse, so you can give them that time. Like I've used sometimes weeds that I need to pull, or I'm playing around with my rope, just because sometimes in your head you think you've given them enough time as far as taking the pressure off, but in fact you haven't. So it's a very easy mistake to do, but it can really benefit sometimes if you just slow down a minute and give them a little bit more time. But again, we all make mistakes. It's an easy one for me to make, and I always have to do it a little bit of a self-check and be like, oh yeah, hello. So now I'm just working on picking up that front left leg. And his feet weren't near like Denali's. And I'm just actually checking the angle, and then he got a little worried. So I'm going to have to pick it back up again. But again, his feet are kind of a fine length, but I was noticing his angles are getting a little off. So I'll have to address that just to help him so we don't get too wonky in our angles. He's just kind of loading one side versus the other, so then you get a heel higher. And again, if you can kind of stay on top of that, that helps them just in general. Giving him a good rub. He does tend to like his face rubbed, and especially on the left cheek. And again, giving him that time, and got a nice lick and chew there. And for him, his body language, he can really, when he gets worried, as you can see, he sticks his head up. So showing him the stick, and then taking the pressure away. I'm going to ask him to see if I can get him off a little bit of the halter pressure. He did that pretty well. And he's kind of wanting to play with the stick. You see his little tail is tucked. He's a little bit unsure. So I'm just going to kind of hold the stick here and then take it away. And then I sped this up for you guys because I did this quite a bit, took a fair amount of time, but just kind of reiterated to him and then was working my way back to the hind feet. And he was very good about that. And again, he was being pretty silly here in his releases and scratching his little tongue. That was pretty funny. Then I'm going to move my way back. And he was very good with me touching that hind left leg. And always trying to go back and start at a point of reference where I know he's okay, and then building up to where he's not. So for instance, I don't want to just walk up to the hind leg because that's going to really get the worry. But if he's more comfortable with it at his shoulder, then I'll start at the shoulder and then move my way back. So now I'm on the right side and kind of doing the same thing. Working my way, touching the opposite front leg, I just try to get them used to just anything kind of touching their legs. Because you never really know, especially in the beginning, the strangest things happen. But if you can kind of help them get comfortable with you touching their legs and then things touching their legs, they become pretty confident. And it really can help prevent accidents from happening. So they're just working a little bit on moving on angles to get him to come off the pressure of the halter a little bit, just to follow the feel is really what I'm looking for. So working now on touching that flank and then going down the inside of the back leg, which he's actually very good about. And then again, kind of touching around behind that fetlock. And then I see if I can kind of get his tail a little bit with the stick, just so I can move the tail some. And he actually handles that pretty well. He's a little bit unsure. You can see he's got himself in a C shape. But I'm going to step back and give him a little bit. Again, I'm just going to play with the rope a little, rub his face. And sometimes it's actually really good to play around. I was trying to see, in a minute here, you'll see I'm going to try to look at his teeth. And he's actually being pretty silly because he was putting his lip on me. Again, this guy has a pretty goofy personality. And so when he put that lip kind of on my finger, I took kind of the opportunity to see, okay, well, I can inspect his teeth a little bit, get him used to having my hand around the mouth. He's pretty comfortable about all that stuff. Then I'm going to give him a little rub. He seems to like to have that left cheek rub and into the eye. And I'm always trying to find like that good itchy spot. When they're starting to really, I call it let go or melt a little bit. When you can find that itchy spot and they really kind of get into it. He hasn't quite gotten there yet. He's kind of pretty good at going with the motions of the ocean, and he kind of figures that I'm okay. I'm friend-ish. I'm not too faux-ish. But he hasn't completely thought that I'm like the best thing since sliced bread, but we're working on it. As you can see there, he was very good about me moving now kind of to the back because I've gone through and I've touched. And now I'm working my way towards the hindquarters, which is always a scary time. So you have to kind of keep your heart rate down. And then I thought, well, I'm here. Let me see if I can grab his little tail. He actually handled that really well. So the tail is the last zone of the body. I kind of break their bodies up into zones. You've got kind of nose and face. You've got the neck and then the shoulder. And then that shoulder goes like to the wither. And then you've got mid-barrel, the flank, the SI point, and then the haunches. And then you have the tail. And then, of course, you've got front legs and back legs. You can even break that up into sides as well. So I always feel like getting them comfortable with me being back there is the last kind of piece of it is the tail. And I can still stand, maybe a smidge close, but he's handling it okay. He's kind of like, what are you doing? That was kind of weird. But he was a very good boy, and I was very pleased with this session.